In today's video, we're going to talk about the things that we carry that are heavy and how to finally put them down. I'm going to show you why some of the heaviest things we carry are the ones that we had every right to pick up. Have you ever held on to something long past the time you knew you should let it go? Not clutter, not the drawer full of rubber bands or mystery keys. I'm talking about the things you had every right to carry. The hurt that made total sense. The words that should have never been said. The way someone treated you and you know you didn't deserve it. And maybe the hardest part, you're not even wrong. You were right to feel it. You were right to be hurt. You were right to be angry. But here's the part we don't say out loud. Some of us have been carrying that right for 10, 20, sometimes 30 years, maybe more. And it's heavy. Being right about what happened doesn't mean you have to keep carrying it. And we talk about letting go like it's simple, like it's something you decide to do right after you have your morning coffee. Today's the day. I'm just going to release it. But what about when what you're holding is a relationship that never quite healed? And what about when someone hurt you and they never even apologized? Or worse, they don't even think they did anything wrong. And then there's those relationships where you still love the person, but everything about how they live, what they believe, the choices they make, it just sits wrong in your spirit. And you're not crazy for feeling that, and you're not wrong. I've learned this the hard way more than once. Yes, I tend to need repeat lessons. But just because a feeling was justified doesn't mean it's harmless. Because what starts as pain, over time, turns into weight. And that weight shows up in places you didn't expect. It makes you pull back from people who didn't hurt you. It makes you quieter than you used to be. It steals joy from moments that had nothing to do with the original wound. And the person you're carrying all this about, they're probably not even thinking about you. Let me tell you about a time when I was carrying something that I had every right to carry. I was convinced to take out a significant loan for a business adventure. And without going into the details of that event, I ended up uh, taking on the loan without any guarantees other than my own personal signature. And so as a result, I ended up having those that made promises to me walk away and leave me with the debt. And I had every right to feel hurt and betrayed and all of the emotions that came with having this heavy load dumped on me. And it took me a very long time to come to terms with it. But it was more than money that it cost me, because I had relationships that I highly valued, and they were hurt and damaged in the process. And I lost my sense of ease when I was around people. I learned a mistrust that went totally against my nature. And worse than that, I distrusted myself. I counted myself a fool. And so I, for a very, very, very long time, had to struggle through these feelings. And finally, one day, I had an epiphany that this weight was just too much for me to carry, and I had to find a way to lighten it. And there seemed to be no solution. And so what I had to do was come to terms with, I had to release that, forgive that debt. And then I had to trust God would make me able to pay the debt that I owed in my own name. And to this day, I'm still working on that. But what happened as a result is that I was able to walk away and feel lighter. It gave me space. Releasing it didn't mean I was suddenly over it. It didn't mean I forgot what happened. It just meant I stopped letting it take up so much space in me. And that gave me something back I didn't realize I'd lost. Peace, lightness, room to breathe again. There's a verse that oftentimes we use like a suggestion. It says, lay aside every weight. Isn't that a wonderful verse? 4 little words of instruction. But why is it so hard? The older I get, the more I see it clearly. Some things were only meant to teach you, not stay with you. And sometimes what we need to release isn't even bad. It's just no longer right for who we're becoming. And that belief that says it's too late, that habit of putting yourself last, that version of a relationship that you keep trying to drag back into what it used to be, and even the people you don't agree with, people you may never ever fully see eye to eye with, you can release the bitterness without pretending that everything's fine. You don't have to agree to let go of what it's doing to your heart. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Now, in the treasure series, this step, this last R, comes near the end. And that's not by accident. You can't release something you haven't first seen. But once you've seen it, you get to make a different choice. Not with anger and not with guilt. Just a quiet decision that says, thank you for what you taught me, but you don't get to come with me anymore. Maybe it isn't about fixing everything. Maybe it's just this. What am I still carrying that I don't need anymore? And what would it look like to loosen my grip just a little? Because release isn't loss, it's space. Space to actively live the life that's still in front of you. Just saying. If this resonated with you at all, if this content does, then I hope that you'll hit the like button and support me and subscribe to my station. I know it'll mean a whole lot to me. And please offer your comments. I'd love to hear from you and what you think. And look forward to next week when we talk about the last letter in Treasure, where we embrace the whole story. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Until then, signing off, and we'll see you next week.